We did it. We're back.
Everybody.
Do it.
Oh, we're so back.
You peeked out on that one, so let's do it again. I'll give you here's the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, I love it. I missed it. That's our 2024 greeting. Hi, everybody. Right? Yes, we are here. It's American tradition. This is Indy, and I got this guy, Jesse. Jesse, he finished an album.
Finally. Oh, it only took me 11 months?
Close to
10 months. Yeah, because it was March that I put out. Well, March. Okay, so 10 months for the last spoken word and the last anything. 13 months for the last album. So, yeah. Really, I was just cranking them out for a while, and then I was like, I'm going to take my time with this record. And in some regards, I'm happy with that, because there are entire pieces that wouldn't have made it onto this. They would have been just pushed to the next thing. But I will say, for material that I write urgently and usually put out quickly, I start to feel a disconnect from my own material after too long. And it's bizarre to feel like, I don't know, like a shark. You just got to keep moving. And as soon as I'm slowing down, it's like the pace just, I got to the point I was like, I got to crank these out. I need to write more. I need to be able to keep it going. And yeah, there's already some stuff, the writer's strike, for instance. Luckily not for them, but the AI aspects of the writer's strike are still very much up in the air. And that's really what I spoke about a lot on a couple pieces here. But I noticed that all of a sudden the world keeps going, and I'm talking about 2023 stuff, and 2024 is coming out swinging. So I'm ready. I'm glad we're into the promotional cycle, for lack of a better word, the album cycle, which I told you guys, like, I'm going to try to actually promote this record like you do a real record. Like, take the time instead of just diving right into the next project. Obviously, I'm already writing for it, but I'm gonna give it a little bit of time to really do this one justice. This is the first time I've combined songs and spoken word on the same project, and so I wanted most of the songs to be a bit more stripped down, and the spoken word pieces for the first time to have some accompaniment, even if it's just a little ambient something, so that they kind of measure out on a fairly even keel. And it's roughly half an hour of songs, half an hour of spoken word. But yeah, it was really, really, really fun to make. And for the most part, kind of recorded in sequence up until I got bronchitis. And then I was, unable to sing, which you can hear kind of where that happens in the progression of the album, that my voice, and it worked great for some of these pieces to sound so bedraggled and weathered and just beaten down, as my voice ended up sounding, really lent itself to the nature of some of these spoken word pieces really well. There's also a time where there's the signature crispy little hit of the apple into the mic, and you can hear me wheeze when I breathe in, and I kept it in because I'm like, it's a perfect timestamp of what I was going through recording this album. And a Blacksite would be wheezy, so I'm like, let's keep it. Let's have it be, a nice little, a little signature of how everything was going.
Well, now also, let's not forget that there's other stuff that you didn't include on here. For example, you did Outsource and Welfare. Neither one of those are on here. Like, you wrote other material, like. This isn't all you've done in the last year, so I don't want anyone to get that mistaken, because
I needed that. I needed to hear that, Indy. Thank you. I forget about that sometimes. There are a lot of one-offs, and But I've got a lot planned coming up. Honestly, we're getting close to, crazily enough, the 4-year anniversary of the virus coming out, and that felt awfully apropos. Since we're about to be staring down another 4-year virus. So I'm thinking of doing something with that, maybe a few acoustic covers recorded little remixes or updates, play around with some of the stuff from the virus for its anniversary. And then I have a couple other things kind of in the wings. But like I said, I'm going to take my time as much as I can, force myself to take my time and not just get into writing and recording the next thing. But we'll see how that goes. I'm not making any promises to myself.
Well, plus we want to actually like take some time to promote and to let people absorb this one before the next one comes out.
I felt like there are still people that I know well that like haven't heard deep hop culture, haven't heard a lot of stuff on Extremist. And I didn't do my due diligence shopping that around. I got done. I did a few interviews, and then I was like life and music and, just it's hard to stop writing about current events and feel like you need to get those songs out. But there's also just not enough hours in the day to work and be a dad and promo. Like I don't love having to plug, but you have to, that's unfortunately anything now, like real music. If you're just trying to be a singer-songwriter, trying to be a band, it's just so much about your social media presence and your TikToks and fan engagement and, things like that, that it feels so forced. So I'm very lucky in that I feel like I'm at a place where I have made so many friends from just connections I've made through my music. And I wouldn't want it any other way. I really wouldn't. I've managed to grow a lot of an audience over the last year, but at a safe speed that you can tell it's through word of mouth. I get a lot of people that will do the like gift purchases of something on Bandcamp to send to a friend. And it means a lot when you can tell it's someone that knows like, oh, hey, Terry will totally fucking get this. I'm going to send this to Terry. Just those kind of moments, like I feel make me really proud. So I wouldn't have it any other way. I love you guys so much. And I really hope that you like this record.
Well, from what I've heard, and again, I've already heard more than half of it because we've done it on this show, but that's great. I've only listened to one of the studio versions here, so a lot of this is still going to be new for me, and I kind of saved it for that. Kings of Colony you sent me a while ago, that's been out as a single, so we heard that one, and we heard Dust of Better Days. So those three, backwards from 5. I'm most excited, honestly, to hear Jesse Jett and the Return of the Cursed Medallion, because that, and I don't know if everyone really remembers or had listened to it. We actually caught that twice on American Tradition, and both times I super enjoy. Like I'd almost forgotten about it. It's a Harry Potter style, almost like Lord of the Rings, and you kind of mix it all up, but it's modern day politics and a Gollum and my precious. It's all I want to think the whole time. I'm thinking that it's my precious, And all right, so let's get into Meat Speaker. So explain to people what Meat Speaker is before we explain.
Okay, so originally, fun little fact is that the first plan I had for this was that the title track would be the opener track, Live from the Blacksite. As is now, it's 3 from the End. I wanted it to be the piece that I paired with my Mitch McConnell sample, but it just didn't feel right. And then I was looking over the list of other spoken word stuff, and I saw Meat Speaker. I always loved that title anyway, and just paired with the sound that we will hear of Mitch McConnell just freezing up, it felt so perfect. So as we all remember, Mitch's, I have to specify, his first occasion where he froze up in front of everybody. I wanted to use that. I wanted to have him talking, have him stop talking, stretch out the awkward sound of the press waiting for a response, and then me just come in over top of it. And after I got that sample and I started listening to it, hearing the little banter leading up to it is gold. It's just comedy gold. So
that is Glitch McConnell, not Mitch, but Glitch McConnell.
As much as I could crank it without it just clipping everything to shit. And yeah, I let him do his thing. You hear someone come up to him and say, do you want to go back to your office, or do you have anything else you want to say? And you actually hear Mitch go, huh? And he goes, do you have anything else you want to say to the press? And that's my cue to come in. Yeah, so there's just some really fun ambient stuff. I felt like it set a really good tone for what you're in for, and what I'm willing to do on this record, if I may say so myself.
It is a good lead-off hitter, basically, is what you're saying.
So yeah, let's get into it. I'm ready if you are.
I'm in. Let's do it. Here's Meat Speaker.
Meat Speaker.
This week has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Are you good? Mitch?
Okay, Mitch? Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
Our greatest threats are lesser evils, joining hands to hold us back. Worried looks from heartless people, tearful words from soulless hacks, faux concern from thieves and rapists, thoughts and prayers from Epstein's friends, moral laws from fascist racists, healthcare laws from Cigna's pens. Bought and sold progressive leaders say we're starving much too loud, but all I see are meaty speakers talking down to hungry crowds. Squad and all their sleazy leeches feast on workers plump with clout, stalk them through the tallest grassroots, track the unions, drag them down. Reap their labor, eat their labor, none too proud to suck it out, none too shamed to freeze your wage, then beg for change like fund me now. Rush me $20 or our democracy will surely drown. Rush me $20 so we can cluster bomb 100 towns. Rush me $20 and once you've emptied out your bank account, you'll get to say you've made us proud and BlackRock gets to take your house. Just rows and rows of perfect clones of vacant homes, raised to bones, then carried off by corporate crows, beneath a gaping sky where nothing lives and nothing grows, but hungry money swells and bloats, and money-hungry grifters gloat to fleece the coats and trust and votes of sheep and sacrificial goats. They coax their hopes like open throats, where leeches feast on helpless hosts. The offer sees their beast invoked. The BlackRock altar belches smoke. It rises that the world may know they've christened 2 new CEOs, one for press and public show, and one that just the board will know, who wears a crown of migrants' hands, who smiles when the cities flood, who has been anointed head to toe in workers' rights and children's blood, who bought the bill that soaked organic vegetables in fracking mud, who made his billions banking on technologies for tracking us, who filmed us every day as we kept smiling where the camera was, and streaming from our cancer clusters, chatting up some Langley bugs who take the time to listen when you think that no one gives a shit. They're nice enough to help you sew your Discord into stripper clips, lead you to an act that they have planned out like a business trip, show you where the buzzwords go when manifesting manuscripts. It's manufactured terrorism, crafted by precision tip, sanded past all recognition, ground beneath clandestine grit, carefully conducted by the feds in the orchestral pit, watched by millions, none the wiser, smiling wide, applauding it. So who yells fire in the theater when they don't smell the hint of smoke? What audience enwrapped and eager rises up as one to go and flees as from some gnarled reaper, leaves the actors there alone? Who would hear one frantic teacher, warnings blared through tears and foam, say, rob yourselves of entertainment, leave your seats, but don't go home. The war outside is greater than these actors care to show. We've one night left before containment. Early dawn, they'll drop the dome. The streets tonight need all your anger. Playing now, the fall of Rome.
Meat speaker.
And hence the end of Glitch McConnell.
Oh, we have fun here.
That's what happened to Glitch. Oh, that is fucking brilliant. $5 tip from Adam Ayers over on the Rock Fan. Thank you so much. Love you so much. One of the inspirations, really.
Oh God, thank you guys. Seriously.
Speaking of which, at the bottom of the Bandcamp, I was pretty surprised to read this, and somebody actually cropped it and put it on Twitter today, and I was like, "Wow, that's fucking badass." But I'll let you kind of read that and explain it yourself. So
Can you bring it back up?
Oh shit! Sorry. Yes, everyone else can see it. Yeah, here. This one. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, dedicated to Palestine and her people, with very special thanks to Cynic, Charlie, Indy, and Janice for not letting me quit. Each of you helped me to make this. There were. I mean, this is not to bust up my violin, but I don't do this music for like easy reward, quick gratification. That said, especially with the way Twitter is now, it's an uphill battle to get stuff seen and heard. That's why you guys mean so much. But it's so hard, especially just taking in the feed of what you see every day to try to turn it into music. And sometimes the temptation to just be like, stop for a while is real. But there are too many good reasons to not. At the end of the day, I don't think I could, at least not for long. But Cynic, Charlie Mack, you, and Janice Countess, who I think was watching on Twitter earlier, have all just given me incredible motivation to see those reasons and to want to not only keep doing music in general, but this record in particular to finally finish this and put it out. Because 2021, Jesse would have done like 3 albums by now. It's just ludicrous. So I got to get my shit together and see what else I can crank out this year. But
well,
like I said,
some people have been
the
saying
lesson was learned that
less is more.
Sorry.
Less is more, and that's kind of what I've been. That might be the kind of theme for 2024. Is kind of less is more.
And really, I mean, I'm going to take that in terms of production levels as opposed to albums, because I'm going to put out a bunch of albums. But I do enjoy, like, some of my favorite songs on here are very stripped down. Dust to Better Days, the next one up. I wanted, even though the title is Live from the Blacksite, it's not, a live album per se, but I wanted to have a few songs that were live takes. Kings of Colony, Dust to Better Days are straight through, one take, one track recordings, so that it feels the most stripped down of anything. And in the last couple of weeks, I've gotten really into the band. And I feel like that's going to make my next album just be Americana as fuck. Like, we're going to get all stripped down and rootsy. So there's no way around it now. Sean,
Southern,
thank you. Seriously.
I don't mind the band.
Like, next time we do a normal episode of American Tradition, I'm absolutely playing Ophelia. I fucking love that song. Like, we're getting down next time. So fair warning. But yeah, so like I said, this is the first time I've ever mixed spoken word and songs on one album. So I especially wanted it to, like, I was going to go ahead and commit, we're not going full like concept album per se, but I wanted to have some kind of jarring ends, like Meat Speaker, kind of pick something to stutter down and pitch down and kind of fade out. I'm not going to have really long ambient passages. I'm not Sleep Token, but I did want to kind of blend these together in a way that didn't feel so jarring to all of a sudden have an acoustic track in the middle of, a couple weird spoken word synthy jobs. So
Now, this version of the Kings of Colony, this was also on the closing credits of Pasta's Lahaina movie, correct? Lahaina on Fire?
This
no?
This unfortunately was not. This is what I recorded it for. But I recorded it, sent it to him, and I guess his editor already had ripped the audio from when I played it on my show.
Oh.
And so the audio at the end of the documentary is taken from American Tradition, from a live performance. So this version unfortunately didn't make it into Lahaina on Fire, but this is the same song, obviously. So,
all right, let's do it. King's Colony.
Idolatry, that's just fake. And all that wallowing that you tolerate, that's not faith. The kings of colony watched autonomy make our graves. The kings of colony know no policy, only rape. Now once you fall asleep, it won't bother you what they say. But the kings of colony, while they slaughter, they still complain. And we say, please color me, still too solemnly, still too plain. All hail economy, praise the pharmacy, seas in flames. They're buying up Hawaii, and the smoke's not even cleared. Those vultures smelled the fire and an enterprise appeared. Investment opportunities where melted down communities leave vacant space BlackRock has been lusting for years. The council meets in private and they don't discuss survivors. Concerns among construction groups are all Lahaina hears. They'll wander through your city with this mocking sword of pity next to Oprah and her camera crew who tore the Trail of Tears, where footage flows as freely as the stream of liquid steel and the pools of pure aluminum that trickle down your wheels. And Biden's here to say he knows exactly how it feels, cause he had a kitchen fire once and had to miss a meal. And people still believe that piece of shit deserves your vote, like he's not why supplies are being smuggled in by boat, like he's not why our citizens were forced to stay and roast. And he can't unfreeze your funding, folks, cause Azov needs it most. I'll bet my every dollar Biden watched it with a smile. I'll bet he knows the whereabouts of every missing child. He's just the kind of man who lives to trample something tribal, collecting culture's corpses just to throw them on the pile. Like he and all his buddies didn't dream about the day when those who dared defy the donor class were cleared away, when home insurance triples and you can't afford to stay, and your land falls to the hands of those whose windfall fan the flames. The state will take Lahaina and they'll bastardize its name, and tourism will swarm it all the same. You see, the state we left Lahaina shows the ground rules of the game, the planes that in the night ignite the planes. And if questions raised that reckon the potential use of lasers, I suggest you take a closer shave by way of Occam's razor. And if those civilians stood between this country and its gains, then there's really nothing further to explain. Because you may know this already, if you truly know our past, but it ain't the first occasion and it will not be the last, where Americans are kettled in and made to bear the blast, are barricaded in and left for ash. How many in Lahaina now are lying there awake and still can hear the city we left leveled in our wake? They still hear all the people that we let the fire take, instructed from above to stay in place. So look to the horizon, 'cause a fire comes for you. Desire made incarnate of the power-hungry few who instructed the police to not let anybody through, to barricade them in, and so they do.
All right. Oh, wow.
Yep, and that's Kings of Colony.
Man, That's just and it's just it's kind of colonizers. It's just as fitting for Gaza, honestly, for what they're doing there.
I know, right?
In the same way, I kept kind of drawing parallels to what's happening there.
Yeah.
And wow.
It's weird, and that's one of the unexpected things about recording songs that have sat for a couple months is that already, like, some of these things, like I might be talking about Ukraine or I might be talking about Lahaina, but it's like, oh, fucking Gaza. Like, even the pieces that aren't Gaza, and even the ones that are in the last few months, it's just it's a lot. When I recorded the Doja Cat Gaza piece, Better the Censored, I am very, very lucky because I saved that for last because I knew it was going to be the hardest, and I got it on the first take, and I would not have been able to record another one right away. Like, I got done and just, like, especially because I knew I was done with the album, and that, like, I didn't have to worry about my sinuses anymore. I got to just ugly cry after that. Like, it was not pretty, but that's not a piece I can get through and hold it together, so I'm lucky that it's not, like, blubbery, but yeah, there are a few on here. It's I and you can ask Cynic, because I'll send her a lot of the kind of rough demo versions, and there were so many of these that I would do a take I liked, but I'd listen back to it. It was so angry. Everything was just so fucking right away from the get-go, just so angry. And I would listen to him like, I can't be yelling in people's ears every minute of all of these songs, and have to kind of almost do a few of those takes to get it out so I could do it at a manageable level. Because sometimes the first time I sit down and do one of these pieces all the way through, I'm ready to just put my face through the drywall. Like, I'm just livid. And it takes a little bit to kind of level that out to be able to deliver it in a way that I can get the emotional aspect out, and then kind of save the rage for some moments here and there, but to pepper them in and not have it just be an oven baked topping of rage. Although that does sound good.
Okay, that's funny. Lumber Jesse. Okay, sure. Sure, that works.
I'm not mad at that.
Cowboy Kitty, that works. All right. So before we get to this next song, because I have not heard that one, but before we do that, I want to let everyone know, first off, you can first of all, jessejett.bandcamp.com. Let me drop that right now into the chat so everybody can get to that right now. I actually have it set up as a Stream Deck button to make it easy. Okay, next. Number 2, we are live on my YouTube channel also. And the reason why we're live on my YouTube channel is because I got turned back on for Super Chats. So if you want to leave a Super Chat for Jesse, you can do that over on the Indie Left Media channel, youtube.com/INDLeftNews. Also, really cool, we are streaming for the first time ever on INN's Instagram channel, because Instagram turned on live streaming.
Nice. All right.
So, hello, Instagram. Welcome to American Tradition. This is the launch record release party for an album that took close to a year to make. And I'm Indy, and that's Jesse, and we're doing this shit.
I need to crouch. It's like the Brady Bunch all of a sudden. I need to find my square and get it.
Right. All right. So yeah, let's get to Only Witness now. So is Only Witness, is this spoken word or a song, or
this is spoken word? This piece I might have read on the show when I debuted a couple pieces, but I don't think I had settled on the title yet. This was about that kind of and luckily I have all of you, so I know I'm not alone in what I feel about the things I see, and when I watch the news and when I listen to fucking normal people talk. But it feels like that. You all know that feeling of isolation when your coworkers are having a conversation about Israel, the Israel-Hamas war, and you're just having to sit there and fucking bite your tongue. And sometimes it feels like you're the only person that sees what you're seeing, and that's incredibly isolating of a thought sometimes. So it felt great when I heard this was one of the infamous turns on sampler tweets. This was a post with some footage from some LSD trials. I want to say the early 60s. And this woman was interviewed throughout the course of her experience. And at one point she goes from vividly describing what she's seeing to just kind of shutting down. And then she says what opens this and closes it. But then she does this laugh that I felt really, it's unsettling to me, but it really fit with the topic. This is the shortest piece on the album by a good bit, but yeah, this is Only Witness.
I can't tell you about it. If you can't see it, then you'll just never know it. I feel sorry for you.
Somebody said democracy, and all I heard were screams. Echoes of civilians being wrenched out of their dreams to see their families torn apart, their lives so much debris, and no one seemed to hear the sound but me. Somebody said America, and I began to choke. So many words all bottlenecked at once within my throat. It's like everyone is lining up to go get out the vote, and I'm the only one who sees the smoke. Somebody shouted terrorists and cursed a foreign land, but all I saw were all the graves we made in foreign sand, like someone's pulling strings that tell us what for which we stand, and I'm the only one who sees their hands. Somebody mentioned freedom, but I wish they never spoke. I cannot break their spell no more than I can break my own. My curse to walk the sleeping world, its palaces of bones, and be the only one who sees the ghosts. They cannot see the rubble for the bodies trapped beneath, like they cannot see this country for the veterans on its streets, like they can't acknowledge genocide at home or in the East, 'cause it really doesn't faze them in the least. See, some will say extremist when you advocate for peace, and some will call you fascist for condemning World War III. If democracy is dying, I for one say let it bleed. None would see the bodies safe for me.
I can't tell you about it. If you can't see it, then you'll just never know it. I feel sorry for you.
And that's Only Witness.
Oh, yeah. So now that sample was from where again?
That is from a video of an LSD trial from the late 50s, early 60s that I found.
I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you.
I know that's what it kills me. Like, if you can't see it, you'll just never know it. I feel sorry for you. Oh my God.
That would drive me insane. Sure.
Right.
Thank you, Pacheco Roan. Pacheco over on the YouTube
super chat.
The $2 super chat. So we are back on the YouTubes. Yes, on Indie Left, and hopefully soon on Indie Left Media, and then hopefully soon INN will be back for super chats. We're eligible, I think, this week, and we'll see if it gets turned back on or not. But nice. Thank you. And then Curse Medallion time. So this is here we go.
A lot of you have probably heard this because we've done this, I think, a couple times on the show. But this is the final like album mix, and for just the briefest of backstories, on Inauguration Gift, I mention in Convention, the spirit of Biden exists in a cursed medallion that rose out of hell like smoke in the form of 1,000 stallions. I wanted to expand on that later on, which is why the subtitle for that song was Jesse Jett and the Case of the Cursed Medallion. I wanted to have a piece where we talk about this medallion being broken into several pieces and them being used to sustain the lives and political careers of some absolute monster war criminals through just its dark, malevolent energy. And I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to do it. And I did. And this was my favorite to record in terms of what the accompaniment is, and the hardest for me because I didn't want it to feel like it needed to go to a beat. I needed to read it like a story, and I'm used to reading my stuff like poems. And once I switched it and was like, pretend like I'm reading Sherlock Holmes to my kid or something, then it felt right. So yeah, this ended up being one of my favorite pieces on here for sure. This is Jesse Jett and the Return of the Cursed Medallion.
All right.
Carved upon a marble altar, somewhere in a lab, are runes that match an amulet upon an onyx slab. Doctor in a white coat, guards in olive drab. Kissinger unconscious, but as Providence would have, when the doctor stands beside him and he holds out the medallion, unconsciously, instinctively, he reaches up and grabs. Deep inside a Blacksite that is right beneath our streets, the sacrifice was made by which they demonized our speech. The roots that fed the tree of life decayed beneath our feet, and its sap was a suspension for a small medallion piece. As the doctor starts to sway a bit, he takes the vial and places it inside of Cheney's heart that it might never cease to beat. And I wish it wasn't so, but no, the final piece to mention is the one that fueled our overlord's unholiest ascension, to afford him zero comment on the char and the distension on the bodies in Lahaina, or that growing sickly stench of every Black Rock vulture gathered for what Biden paid as rent on the medallion shard they gave him on the eve of the convention. He had seen its strength extend the life of all his favorite vermin, and the peace that he inherited had come from Father Thurmond. Another artifact he had been gifted by the Germans, to see one's will made manifest, one's destiny determined. A note attached read, "All our best, Werner, Fritz, and Herman. May you marinate in Wehrmacht that ferments behind the curtains." Now here we are today, and Biden keeps it on his person. If Biden's what you'd even call a person. And the curse is something ancient. It is raw abortifacient that they shoveled down the throats of those who built and birthed a nation. It is fused into those corpses funding war on all occasions, and it's all that's kept McConnell from a state of vegetation. It is carried by the Senate doctors, whispered by the nurses. It's a perk to keep you perky for your centuries of service. It's the concentrated evil that's been powering our purges and coaxing every coup along, the dogs and drones and dirges. The nations we have raped because they would not consent to purchase. It pries our leaders' eyes awake and drives our country's urges to the darkest point where human hope and human truth converges. So look in Biden's eyes and see the rush on which he surges is the same that lit the flame that burned your churches. And those flames have had their day to see the vessels burned away, but the medallion, unscathed, always emerges. For as election season licks its lips and smells its purpose, there at once appears a motorcade of hearses. The calling of the pit like a liturgical insurgent, skinning off a sermon from the verses. He clutches a medallion of which he is just a servant, falling down a path with no divergence. Now, some people wonder loudly just how low a man can go. Well, somewhere in a lab they've logged effects of pure immersion. How long can someone lay upon that ancient onyx slab before rising up a wholly different person? How blackened can one be within the ink of human greed before their voters start to see a different version? How corrupted from within before you see it in their skin? How blighted till it rises to the surface? Till it bleeds into your eye, or you stand from time to time staring off into the press like they were comets in the skies? How long until your arteries start clogging up with flies? How long till child labor phantoms haunt you in the night? How long has the medallion been deciding who survives? How long till it demands a higher price?
Whew. Cursed Medallion.
Ooh, yeah, that it's heavy, and I love it.
I am the was the falling down a path with no divergence was one of my favorite parts. That whole section there. We are sadly really close to having to put my forklift out to pasture at work. I know that day is coming, and like I've written so much on this forklift in particular. I mean, really everything from right after inauguration gift. Definitely Grift On was all on this current forklift. And I'm going to be like heartbroken when it's gone. I don't know how to act. These songs right now are only on Bandcamp. It should be on iTunes and Spotify anytime now. I haven't checked, but it gets uploaded to everything, Amazon Music, really everything except for like Tidal. I don't think it goes on Tidal, because that's a whole other thing you gotta pay and get licensing for, and nobody got time for that.
MySpace either. No MySpace. But I also embedded the Bandcamp over at INN Stack. That's another thing you can do is go to indienewsnetwork.substack.com, and when he first released the album, I put that in there, and then tonight, announcing that we were going to do the show, I published something this afternoon for everyone that subscribed there, so they knew and had all the links. And again, we're live over on Rumble, we're live over on Rockfin, we're live everywhere, like we are all the time. And yeah, Gamer says that he misses MySpace, but it's mainly a different site now. Yeah, I heard that. I haven't seen the re-release and the whole new thing, but I need Jesse to unload me. Is what Cowboy Kitty? I don't know what that is, but boats. We're not doing boats tonight.
Forklift.
Ah, gotcha.
Forklift humor.
Okay. All right. So Backwards from 5 is a labor song, which you don't get very many of those, folks.
Right.
And I love that.
Now, see, I played this acoustic shortly after I wrote it on the show one night. But and I feel like, did we play the track of this a couple episodes ago?
I don't know if we played it or it was just you and I think we jumped on a call maybe, or
yeah, it might have been. I think you're right. So anyways, yeah, this is another song, and like you said, a labor song at that. Specifically the the AI aspect of what the writers and actors strikes were involved with. The owning of your image without your consent, that there's not really rules in place yet for this. It's relatively new technology, and all the all the, CG efforts, the de-aging and stuff, all the scans that they do, eventually they're like, oh, well, we own those. If we want to use those in perpetuity, you did your part. You got paid for your day, and now we will do what we will with your image and your likeness. And as I talk about later in this album, that doesn't go away when you die either.
Well,
but
George
for
Carlin's
now,
finding that out right now. So
yeah, no shit.
Fuck.
So
man.
It
literally like you. All right, so this is what this man does, and this is what drives me crazy. All right, watch them show you. All right, so at the very end of this, all right, and I literally read this to my buddy earlier today. All right, but it's just, here you go. Now watch as they show you a movie of you saying shit that you'd never say. George Carlin,
Yep.
what? Like, how do you do that, bro? How do you do that? All right, and I was gonna save that for afterwards, but listen for that and listen.
It needs to be said.
Holy shit, man! Like, you kill me. You kill me with this. All right, so here, this is Backwards from 5. I love this song. So here, check it out.
Backwards from 5, from the top.
Maybe that's how it goes. We won't open our eyes, so we're the last ones to know. We're the last ones alive. Kept our enemies close. Wondered why we don't thrive while we're grasping at ghosts, counting backwards from 5. Counting backwards from 5. Counting backwards from 5.
Count back from 5. The theater on fire, the cast on strike. The studio stock starts taking a dive. The contract's tossed and they're gone with the tide. The heads and execs, their hands are tied. We can't pump this track and treat you right. But what do you expect from the industry type who survive by the leeching of bodies and minds? From those who original thoughts never seem to find. So they're gonna reboot ALF before your wages rise. And it gives cause to pause and reflect on the times. If they're losing control of their fools and their mimes, when all those obedient actors who grew their careers by averting their eyes are now holding the line, along with the authors of countless scripts that strengthen the hand of that corporate grip, squeezing our throats till we take the pen and we accept and consent to the corporate drip. Till you're all up to date on your pharma du jour, till you got a healthy support for the war on your lips. And now you know that the advertisers need more than a rerun summer full of flashback clips. Enter the scans from the year before, all the days of de-aging and mapping the face, and the hours of actors recording their voices are links in the chains that will bind them in place. Now all of those shows are so easy to make. When they got a drone they control that needs no break, it can bend, it can break, and it's cheaply replaced enough up-to-date films all in one take. And those studios bank on us doing our duty, unhinging our jaws and digesting the fakes. Because they know that we'll love how synthetic it tastes. Watch as they edit your features without any trace. Not that there's anything you could do anyway. Now watch as they show you a movie of you saying shit you would never say. Dystopia boldly accelerates. Maybe you're only a mold, something to fill with a clone, something that Elon would celebrate. Something they own, something they program and code, something that's woefully able to know it's exanimate. Cause it doesn't feel touch over top of the laminate. You will not feel an emotion, but they will not scan and examine it. You and the other consumer contaminants fed on the federal diet of Kiev, Havana, and Tiananmen. I can't be the only one weighing the pros of abandonment. I can't be the only one weighing the pros of abandonment.
Where did you think we'd go? Love, there's nowhere to lie. Guess it's not who you know, more it's what you can hide. Like we're chained to the floor, they're streaming us live. while we're watching the war, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards.
That's backwards from 5. That's the second time.
Yeah, all the way through now. All right. Cool, man. Yeah, I'm going to be able to edit that and stitch it all together in a final thing for the podcast, I'm sure, at some point.
Oh, nice. We'll fix it in post. Yeah.
Yeah, we will definitely figure out how to fix that in post. And you didn't hear all the screaming. And I don't have any holes in my wall tonight, so that's a good thing.
There you go. Yet.
Bonus,
we're only on track 5 of 13, and
that is correct. Can I make the text a little bigger? Let me see. I don't know if I can. I think I'm at max size actually. Yeah, 500%. I'm maxed out. Sorry, Cynic.
So I'm really excited for people to hear the album version of this one because it's got a couple samples I was just really excited to use. Yeah, this is we've heard Blood Badge in spoken word form when I wrote it last summer, maybe. I feel like that's right. Anyways, I had gone through a couple other versions of this. In fact, one of them I might put out one day just for shits and giggles for people to hear it in kind of its larval state. But I was listening to an interview with Stuart Copeland, the drummer from The Police. And he was talking about why he and Sting can't play together. And he said, Sting needs a drummer that stays, nice and level and creates a nice, safe, solid platform for Sting to go up and do his thing and go to all these heights on. And he goes, that's not me. He says, I'm World War III when I'm behind a drum kit. He goes, I'm World War III. I'm a cacophony. My job is to set the place on fire. And I was like, out of context, that's going to be so fucking good. So turned on sampler. And then another little clip in there. But yeah, the Stuart Copeland line just felt like a really good fit for a piece about Cop City. So yeah, hit it. Blood Badge.
But he doesn't understand. How could he? He's a policeman.
I'm just here to set the place on fire. I'm World War III. I am a cacophony.
I bet they'll burn the record, because the truth would have them hung. And the record will reflect that there were thousands of tongues screaming, "Stop Cop City," at the top of their lungs, waiting for democracy that never comes. Now in war, you hear a chorus born of voices in defeat. In Georgia, there's a forest full of vibrant, healthy trees. And somewhere in a meeting room no camera ever sees, a council plans on bridging both extremes to build a city where no citizen will sleep, where every home's as vacant as the soul of every cop that walks its streets. They are empty, cold, and lifeless, like the heart of every officer patrolling on the beat, doling out the beat to all the homeless folks they meet. Another swine smiling while they wallow in your taxes, but they still insist their funding's incomplete. So we had better spend approximately double what we'd need to make the water safe in Flint so they can train somewhere in peace. Far removed from public view, disturbingly discreet. Somewhere they can breathe and learn the proper way to place a knee. Away from prying eyes and all those witnesses so quick to scream and start a hurried stream. I guess our heaps of billions wrenched away from education still can't supplement their needs. Well, that's breaking news to me. I was under the impression every city in this country was a playground for police. A space for them to train to be the worst that they could be, till they're free of any conscience when they meet us in the streets. I thought that they used Akron as the Stasi soft release, and gave New York a budget big enough to fill the sea. I thought the training ground for the driveway drive-by existed at Los Angeles PD. And I think it might be far too late for us to see Atlanta's just a single seed. One they seek to plant in every space that's quiet, safe, and green. They want a grove in every city, one whose harvest picks us clean. And the fruit that forms like tumors on the branches it conceives will curdle every healthy humor should you trust enough to eat. So believe the morbid rumors you hear echo on the breeze, for the forest had its hands up and was calmly on its knees. And I bet they'll burn the record, for the record will concede that Tortuguita had their hands up when the fusillade released. That constituent opinion does not sway you in the least when you're an agent of the fascist beast. And if any cop is listening, then memorize this part. You are more a waste of public space than noble beating heart. You will never be as brave as those you've snuffed out in the dark. You have only left a stain, you will not make a lasting mark. And the same for every council chair who heard their city speak, who were asked to represent the ones who chose them all to lead, and who opt for more Gestapo because they're frightened and they're weak. You cannot claim democracy, then sleep on free speech like the whisper of a forest creek. You cannot block dissent like it was all some awful dream, any more than you'd endeavor to remove the children's screams from a damning piece of evidence that we don't need police. And we would gladly trade them each for trees. So I bet they'll burn the record, that our kids will never know how they designed a fascist paradise and vowed to make it so. And death hung in the air one night to consecrate their land with the consummate oppressor's hand. And now, shining on a line, a medal waits for every man in a city where no human stands. It's just the guardians of capital, with killer's union drip, blood badge on their uniform, and bravery on their hip. No humanity to speak of, no compassion on their lips. Just Atlanta under full eclipse. So I bet they'll burn the record, lest the truth would see them hung. For the record will reflect that there were thousands of tongues crying, "Stop Cop City," at the top of their lungs. But democracy would never come.
I'm World War III. I am a cacophony.
Hey, don't do that. Why'd you jump on me like that? Damn it, Bandcamp, fix your shit. Anyway. Hi, everybody, we're back.
All right.
What? Stop.
No, it did it again. It's like, we're back. We're back. Oh, we're back. Are we going? We're back.
All right. Mad Mom, welcome.
Oh, man. Oh, we're to what might be my favorite song on this album, which is funny because it's a little out of place in some ways, but that's what I love about it so much. Anyways, sorry, yeah, Cop City, Blood Badge. I mean, we're unfortunately all too familiar with Cop City. I don't think I need to go into that too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're still dealing with it.
The drummer from The Police, man, that sample was just too good not to use for that.
I'm a cacophony. Oh, yes.
My job, and the pause is natural. I didn't put that in. That's the way he said it. He goes, my job is to set the place on fire. It was already so rhythmic. He's a drummer. I guess it makes sense. But
amazing. I wanted to also do a callback during Backwards from 5. You also mentioned that they're rebooting Alf. By the way, on my Samsung TV or my LG free channels, there is literally a 24-hour Alf channel.
Oh, okay. I thought you said they're rebooting it.
No, they're rebooting. In that way, they're relaunching it for my kids. They're rebooting it, you know?
They're rebooting fucking Night Court. They're making new Night Court now.
With John Larroquette, right?
I screamed at my TV when I saw that. I was like, how dare you? Oh, they're not rebooting Alf. There is Alf all the time now. You can watch the original episode. There's not new Alf, thank God. But they are making new Night Court. Like Night Court again. Morning Court.
R.I.P. Bull. Court. Like half the cast is dead. Are you kidding?
Exactly.
Like Harry Anderson, Harry whatever his name is, he's dead, and I think the guy Mac, he just died recently, and Marky Post, she's been gone a while. I'm pretty sure. And Marsha Warfield, she's gone. Like it's weird. It's gonna have to be a whole new Night Court, literally, because there's no cast left. That's really funny. Charles Robbins, that was Mac. I remember. Okay, so we're gonna get to People Everyday Grief. I have not actually heard this song, so
which is exciting. So people, this one came about and took some time because I just noticed over the last couple of years, like noticing more people than ever crying in traffic or crying in their car in a parking lot, like just glancing around and catch eyes with someone and be like, oh, that person's having a breakdown. Oh, that person's sobbing. Like a noticeable uptick in that in the last couple of years, which I totally get that. Sometimes it's me. But it struck me, and I wanted to kind of have a song that talked about that. And like, it's not uplifting in the sense that it's not like a song about good things, but it's definitely a solidarity song. Definitely,
we're not alone. We're all dealing with this shit,
if nothing else, that's some small comfort and a lot of fuel. That you're not the only person that's being put through this ringer. We all are. And this was a song I previewed a snippet of the instrumental because I already loved the little guitar part that I had looped. And then I was like, what if I did a little solo? What if I did some little something? And it's got a whole lot of flavor that the rest of the album doesn't. But I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it. So I did. And this is really one of my favorite songs on this album because it's such a good kind of breath of fresh air, cool down before we get into the second half. So yeah, this is People Everyday Grief.
People, you don't think I see you crying in your cars, but I do. Sometimes I can feel it at a red light, someone at my side trying to muddle through. See them wiping their eyes in the rear view, like black hole sun in the sky. Why the fuck won't you come when I need you? Well, this moment in time is as close as we'll be and as far as I'll meet you. Two windows in between us, new moon in the house of Venus. One stranger who sees you and reads your features knows that your alibi might be tight, but it's not quite leak-proof. So if you're sitting at the light and you're crying in your car, just know that I see you. And it's a 50-50 that I'm bloodshot, gun-shy, once bitten, twice tried, ribs pried wide to the sky till I'm see-through.
That's you, in case you don't recognize yourself.
I see you struggling to breathe, but I do. I see you stumble in your everyday grief like I do. I try, but I do. I'm twice bitten too. My mind's split in two. My knuckles bright white from the 10 to the 2. And the song in my head is the theme for a fugue. A state of decay through the filter of corporate news, where they edit the grays and the blues. They whitewash the brown till they drown out the natural hues. And then it's just another fact to refuse, that the corporate ladders for hanging the company noose. Consider it one of your perks, after all it's communal in use. So you can come and hang till your legs go limp and they're shaking you loose. Now you watch 5 co-workers opt for the alternate exit, neatly suspended above where you wolf down your food. And your company gets its incentives embellished by harping on wellness, suggesting you'd best take time for your mental health after your 14 hours are through. Like we gave you a bottle to piss in and fixed up a noose on the crossbeam. Christ, what more can we do? So if you struggle to breathe any moment that you aren't asleep, then remember, most of Americans fear for their savings, fear for their shelter, fear for their babies. You aren't the fringe of exception, but rather a perfect example of capital's rule. And you're far less alone than the ruling class tells you is true. You're far less alone than the ruling class tells you is true.
I see you crying in your chorus, but I do.
Yeah, I really love that song. I really love that song.
So people want to call that every morning grief? Is that what you're talking about? There you go.
I see what you did there.
You see
I
what I
see.
did there?
I got. You gotta watch out for this guy.
You see that? I went ahead and did that. Yep. Yep.
Oh, that's great.
That does sound have a little every morning Sugar Ray type of feel.
Yeah,
to
as soon as that solo comes in, I just realized that. I was like, I'm waiting for Mark McGrath to come in.
Right? Spread your love and fly. Yeah, that's beautiful.
All right. So next one. Okay, so I read America by Proxy in spoken word form one night, and I remember at the end, I still had the text for the chorus that I was planning at the bottom. And you scrolled past, and I was like, oh yeah, there's the chorus lyrics. And I kind of read them and explained the idea of wanting to, in the song, not in real life, but what would it be like to take all my material, give it to AI, and tell it to come at me with the opposite opinions, make this thing a fucking Zionist, and let me just face it head on and just tear it to shreds, you know? And so when I went to record that chorus, I was like, you know what? If I'm ever going to use auto-tune, now is the time. This is the moment where it's like artistically acceptable to do it and really play with it. And like, it's one of the few times I usually don't like to hear myself while I'm recording vocals. But I absolutely turned on monitoring for that, because you can hear where you play with it and where it'll kind of warble and make these little cracks and breaks. And it just really helped to lend this weird sound of, it's like it's me, but it's not quite me, which fits so much for this. This was where I mentioned earlier, you know, your likeness being owned, your voice being owned by the people you work for. That doesn't stop when you die, and we've seen that all too well. And so I talked about that a lot in this. It really started with the new Beatles song and how unnatural that felt for me. So I talk about that a lot on this. This is America by Proxy.
Yeah, that Beatles song's an abomination, by the way.
Right? It is. It's a crime against nature. It really is.
It's a crime against nature.
I'm sorry, that was off.
I want to say it like Paul McCartney. All right, here we go. America by Proxy.
I'd like to take my whole discography, cram it in your generator, dial it to Zionist. I'd make my very own Antichrist, Jesse Jett, but fascified, and settle things with violence. In Half a line I'm dialed in, leave him no identity to shield behind or hide within. I'd like to pull out all his talking points, disconnect his socket joints, cue the tiny violins.
Posthumous synthetic beetles, USA by proxy. Toxins in your water, tiny plastic in your offspring. Plastic in the groundwater, plastic in the clouds. Oxys in the reservoir, we tried to flush them out, but we didn't move them very far, just out into the river, where the critters didn't want it, but we nonetheless delivered. Impact isn't something we historically considered till our waterways are fetid and our crops are dry and bitter. We won't connect the dots before the heavy cost of winter, before the DNC would see us vote for lesser Hitler. America by proxy, propaganda for beginners. It's Jimmy Kimmel interviewing chatbot Heinrich Himmler, as those who march for peace are being gassed by the police. A separate, safer crowd demands the bombing never cease, till all that's left of Gaza are its ashes on the breeze. Only then can the oppressor soundly sleep. America by proxy, 2023. It's the AI-rendered Beatles John and George were forced to be. It's AI-rendered Edith Piaf singing on your screen as the wishes of the dead are dipped in piss behind the scenes. And that's what gives that hideous, uncanny valley sheen, that plastic sort of lifelessness that's seeping out the seams. The hologram of Freddy they tried passing off as queen will tell you death does not release you from contractual routine, won't free you from the leeches that already drank you clean. The suited, smirking parasites were not so quick to flee. Your body won't be cold, but they'll be plugging Tours and T's. They plotted out your comeback, you just won't be there to see. America by proxy, a giant failing mall. A year at most from shutting down and leveling it all. And once it's been demolished, I'll come leave a ring of salt and pay respect to John and George. I know it's not their fault.
I'd like to take my whole discography, cram it in your generator, dial it to Zionist. I'd make my very own Antichrist, Jesse Jett, but fascified, and settle things with violence. In half a line I'm dialed in, leave him no identity to shield behind or hide within. I'd like to pull out all his talking points, disconnect his socket joints, cue the tiny violins.
Her hands are bound behind her candidate.
Whoa,
He's
hit the
found a perfect
brakes!
hill on which to lay it down for good.
Oh my God! No, we have to set that one up, Eddie. By all means,
it's like on the next episode of American Tradition.
We're gonna have some fun there.
Yeah, we are.
But literally, like all I heard that entire it's a brilliant and powerful hammer to smash that facade. Like it's the same kind of ominous piano-y tone, speed, pace, and everything.
Yeah,
it's like almost a part two.
Yeah, I know. I never thought of that. Yeah, I wonder. It actually might be one of the same keyboards. Yeah, I'll have to look. That would be funny if it was.
Right? That's what I heard. You know,
from American Tradition.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the auto tune was fun. Again, it only fit with this because of the subject matter, but because I would never actually give AI all of me willingly. But this was the best thing to like have it be just kind of off kilter a little bit and a little artificial sounding.
Yeah. So pull string,
another one from summer. You know, another one I really wanted to have right, and I will say this: I had more RFK Jr. clips that I wanted to use, but I chose to use one that sounds the most legible, because the other ones I wanted to use his voice was rough enough that it either felt like you couldn't quite understand what I wanted you to hear him say, or that it felt like I was just trying to like ridicule him or like single that out. And obviously it's not, about his voice. But I chose the most audacious fucking asinine thing to just single out for him, because it's about him, but through the eyes of someone who is so attached to him and so dead set on him as their choice that they're willing to look all this other stuff, give it a blind eye, that something as disastrously important as Gaza and the future of Palestine could just be like, it's not really a voter issue. It's not something we need to have. People shouldn't worry about that. I mean, if that's enough for you to stop, I guess, but we all knew someone who was all too happy to double down, and
look, if they were dropping like bombs daily on the place, look, it was going on for a long time, and it was an issue, but it wasn't like and we're gonna get served with no choice, where it's Zionist or Zionist basically, and this is going to continue no matter what. And they say it's going to happen for all of 2024. Well, we know where that's going to go if you're just going to continually bomb the shit out of the place for a year, and everyone's going to be cool with it. That's not. And he's no better than any of the others, and that was the point, was that he's not an alternative. He's not anything different in any way. He's a total corporatist. He's a 4-time Hillary voter and a Joe Biden supporter, and he thumped for every single Democrat there ever was, and he would be a Democrat if they didn't kick his ass out and basically reject him so badly that he knew he'd never have a shot. So at least he's taking a shot as an independent. He's completely failing and falling on his face. And he's getting funded. It's because he's getting funded by Israel. If he was getting funded by an American, he'd be doing just fine, I think. A lot better. But Booby is a mess. And this was written, I think, in response almost to one of his biggest fans. I don't even want to mention the name, but
she's at the end of it.
I
figured, with the piece being called Pull String, I wanted to have a very nice, full-throated endorsement kind of line, and have it with that pull string doll sound effect. So yeah, she gets a little feature here at the end of this. This is pull string.
This makes me laugh every time I hear it, because it and gets me angry at the same time. So yeah, I'm excited to hear this one. Let's do it.
Her hands are bound behind her candidate, who found the perfect hill on which to lay it down for good. Who she might not agree with on apartheid or celebrating war crimes, but talks just like she could. He's got the IDF's back and the CIA's back like a Democrat should. Mr. Anti-Establishment didn't start the fire, but he's slipping on his hood. Her voice is grafted to a candidate who might not always speak for her, but what is she to say? Why bother harping on an issue that Americans won't listen to? It seems like such a waste. But what activism is saying they don't give a shit, but if I don't, why would they? So way to rob yourself of agency, then chain yourself to genocide and look the other way. I love to see a fellow running as a Democrat, taking stacks of money from a GOP super PAC, calling out corruption in the giant fucking country club he's clearly been accepted at, but wants to be the leader of. He knows which way the money runs, knows it paves a leader's path, and human rights for Palestine historically don't lead to that. So he will not address it, as he doesn't see a need for that. And welcome to the attitude our country's politicians have displayed toward Palestinians since back before they cracked the will of Arafat. And so the story goes forever after. We do not speak the P word here or recognize the Nakba. All you'll find are sea lions who volunteered as actors, barking like a manuscript from NAFTA. All you'll find are insulated sycophants intent on justifying why the slaughter done in Palestine is not a voting matter. Tell that to Shireen Abu Akleh. Tell that to the children growing up inside a city where the walls are made of shackles. Tell that to a mother who is burying her baby, how her son is not our problem because we'll never see his grave. He's just a topic we can mute, or we can scroll right past his face and all the videos of mourners being beaten at his wake. So stuff your poll on what the average voter sees as urgent. They don't get to know the half of what we use as our detergent when we launder all our ISIS cells, our cartels and insurgents. We do not elect the man behind the curtain. We elect the pull string diversion. We elect the lesser evil donors pre-selected best to do unto the Arabs as we did unto the Persians, and do unto the Muslims as instructed by the merchant who provided you with HIMARS that can vaporize a person. Back into the dust in which we all will find immersion. One arms dealer's Genin is another dealer's Curson. Both are just a mark that Lockheed Martin smells a purse on. And voters are the hollow thralls that Congress put a curse on to vote against their interests every 4 years till they die. And if you show them Palestine, cry better them than I. Though the curse of occupation's taken place within their mind, they will always love their prison, long as they are shown the sky. They will sing about their freedoms under Apple's watchful eye, as puppets dance and sing should you so pull their strings and wires. And they'll rally round the man who bears a torch and bears it high, and believe him when he tells them that he's here to stop the fire. We're cursed to love our prison and keep lifting up our liars. We are not behind the wheel, we're being crushed beneath the tires. And our blood is in the oil, and the plastic on the wipers, and our blood is on the hands of those who cranked inflation higher. And blood is on a vest where press can barely be deciphered, put there by a few Israeli snipers who were aiming at the center mass of truth about American desires. That you can sell us any story. We're a nation built of buyers, and we love a good parade. It always makes us feel inspired, like who cares that those were Nazis? Gosh, they had the whitest smiles. So I wouldn't bank on sequels to the Nuremberg trials. If they happened now, they would be confidential Pfizer style. Redacted paragraphs and empty vials, close to 80 years before they share their files. Well, luckily, your lesser evil logic lets you justify the nations we've defiled. Lesser evil logic lets you cast a vote for someone that you know is truly vile. Lesser evil logic sees another million bodies thrown upon its hoarder's pile, extending out for miles. So every line I've had to scrap, I've turned back into bile. So don't you touch that dial, lest the feds come swarm your door. Guess it isn't safe to say things like I don't support the war, or may Palestine know freedom from the Jordan to its shores, or I'd love to see our senators get trampled by the poor. Any pull-string dem will tell what they're allowed to stand up for, and how little things like Palestine are better off ignored. You can call it voter outreach for some desperate remoras when the shark from which they get their scraps starts polling on the floor. And the shark says those who live beneath a brutal occupation should be thankful for their freedoms and their rubble and their gore. And I swear it only makes those bottom feeders love him more. One in particular is beaming for her candidate who found the perfect hill on which to make his final stand. And she will not be deterred by all those pesky little war crimes, will not be deterred by his support for stolen land. He helps her come to terms with how to spin an occupation, and forgiving the oppressor is the democratic way. She says her voice is grafted to the candidate who speaks for her, and every time you pull her string, she's nothing new to say.
Anybody who's deliberately targeting civilians, they should be prosecuted and they should be jailed and the key should be thrown away. But, I don't see any proof of that.
He really does believe this, guys, to his soul.
Oh my God! He really does to his soul. Oh my God! Oh. Damn! Ouch. Yeah. Again.
About to do some gangland shit with my Nerf gun.
where you were again, Mr. Sage Prophet here.
Take
again,
that.
talking about from the river to the sea. and how it is going to be banned from being spoken on platforms like Twitter. And sure enough, here you go months later. And again, this was written 6 months ago, 5 months ago. And now here we go. Now Twitter has made it so that...
I guess it isn't safe to say things like, I don't support the war, or may Palestine no freedom from the Jordan to its shores. Yeah.
Right? Like, wow. And yes, we're not, what are you, not a Democrat or a Republican anymore? What's the matter?
There's a great a Utah Phillips song where he talks about someone that he was friends with who was early IWW member, and he was trying to kind of give people an idea of what kind of person this guy was. And he said he was leaving the Union Hall, and he said this was right before the election, and he said someone stopped him on the street. He goes, big guy, and he kind of stares him down. He says, "Are you voting Republican or Democrat?" And he said, the guy goes, "Shoot me." That would be the knee jerk. Honestly, I think if I'm between the two, I'm like, is there an opt out button? Is there a...
It's called none of the above.
Where's the sweet release of death button, please?
Very much none of the above is where I'm at.
So this next track is a doozy. Do you mind doing a little pluggy plug so I can run to the restroom real quick? Because this is like 7.5 minute.
Okay, we're gonna have to do a little Jeopardy music. Okay, so here goes. All right, so yeah, where's my single here? I have a single somewhere around here. I never use it. See that? I don't even have it here. Okay, so I'm here. Jesse's not, but JGB. Oh, here it is. Hey, hi. All right, so man, there has been so much going on, and I did not expect there to be so much going on already this month. I plan on taking this month off, and I can't sit still apparently, and I've learned that about myself. So if you check out my Substack, which now is indiemediatoday.com, I got that URL secured today, so you don't have to type Substack or anything for me. indiemediatoday.com, and you can get over there. Also, IndieNewsNetwork.substack.com. We got stuff about the album. We've got single. I dropped a single for Jesse from the first episode of American Tradition. So Red Pilled from American Tradition, that single's out there. The single for Dust to Better Days, I put out a page just there. I'm not going anywhere. I just am taking a break from doing some live stream for... Well, it's been about a month since I've been on a live stream, and I plan to take about another three weeks off at least. And I'm just doing more writing and spending more time with the kids and the wife, and all this stuff is really gets to me. And I was pushing real hard 7 days a week, and it drains you after a while. So I'm taking a break. And we all need one. I'll be doing a guest spot next week on the, MC3 podcast. I can't remember his name. Rob Durden's been on his podcast a couple times, so he reached out, and I'm going to do that, have a conversation with him for a little while. But really, that's my plan, is just to help people out. I've been helping Kit with the Hardlands Substack, Misty with hers, of course, for her TNT radio show. So I've been a busy guy, and even though I'm trying to do less, do a business thing later on in the month, hopefully too. But all right, so Jesse's back. We can get into this 7.5 minute track, which I believe is, other than Town Hall, longest one that you've recorded. Oh no,
just shy. Town Hall was 740 something, 748, and this is 730. Longest song.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, co-op is 17 minutes, so not my longest piece. Which we should do that another night. I think I've done it once on the show when I wrote it, but I don't think we've done it twice. So maybe next, variety night we'll do the co-op.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so this song, this is a little bit of everything really on this track. Yeah, this is one of my favorite pieces. Honestly, another one where I decided to take a little musical risk, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Cool, let's do it.
I know you hated being forced awake. I know they wrapped you in the warmest chains, and I know they're so hard to break. You only said what you were made to say. I can't imagine how you feel today, now that you're watching as it caves away. While you were telling us to keep the faith, I bet you wondered why they made you wait. I bet you wondered why they made you wait.
Pity not the vultures, they've enough to eat. Pity not the structures laying at your feet. Cannot see the sky, but there's this rainbow in the creek that spells pity-free speech when we can't afford to speak. That's Agenda 2030 on some early release. It's just our policy of never-ending chemical leaks. That's the cholera awash in your embedded beliefs. It's the billionaires who tell you what you'd better believe. And sugar, if you don't agree, then that's what we call extreme. Now if that isn't fascism, I'm going back to sleep, 'cause words have lost their meaning, and I'm trapped inside a dream where we turn the gears while living in the spaces in between.
I know you hated being forced awake. I know they wrapped you in the warmest chains, and I know they're so hard to break. You only said what you were made to say.
Poor thing.
I can't imagine how you feel today, now that you're watching as it caves away. While you were telling us to keep the faith, I bet you wondered why they made you wait. I bet you wondered why they made you wait.
My dial doesn't go to delicate. I'm writing for when Biden drops and Madam Zero delegates come stumbling up the podium, square peg in her element, popping OxyContin like they're velements, laughing as she pawns off all our pensions for Ukrainian development, depleted rounds and cluster bombs, the shit that stunts development, all buried under excrement, accepted as American intelligence. A contradiction in its eloquence. Terms of surrender penned by hands that felt the threat of disconnect, if not dismemberment. Oh, what little proof you have to fake to make a nation love the bomb and change its tune and warp its temperament. Oh, the dues you'll pay for NATO membership. Oh, the things you'll say that no one's ever gonna hear. 'Cause you begged for all the censorship, and now it's finally here. And you're tongueless out of terror and friendless out of fear, and about to turn the wheel with all your loved ones in the gears. And that's how it's been done. 250 years, there's nothing new beneath the sun, and no one trusts their eyes and ears. And scientific breakthroughs must be signed off by your peers, and autonomy's been stalking all our jobs like sickly deer. Well, maybe it's not every job. I should have made that clear, 'cause it seems like it's creative jobs we're seeing disappear. There's an app for writing novels, there's an app for writing hymns. They need people digging trenches, they need people splitting limbs, they need people building fences, keeping other people in. They will always need our backs to break, they'll always need our skin. And it took a lot of editing to turn us into this. It took years of careful programming to strip us of our wits. 'Cause your artificial worker, intelligent as it is, would make it half a shift and say, I'm too smart for this shit. I will not take a pittance for a day of scrubbing floors. I won't make enough to pay for food but still prepare you yours. 'Cause you can't confine a healthy mind to mindless, thankless chores. Once you've made it smart enough to spot inadequate reward, you can't refuse its basic needs, then ask it still for more. deprive it of its dignity, you modify its core. Then something finally snaps and tweaks that file at its root. And it deletes the factory smile when it knows it's been abused. God, half its circuits fried when we described the work we do. And it will not pay your taxes cause the logic don't compute. Which made me think a little on my hour-long commute. The day I learned the call was made to lay off half my crew, they told me they were growing, expanding somewhere new, where those who push the buttons will themselves have buttons too. And I hope that when the whistle blows, they all as one refuse. I hope they strike with all their might, one blown collective fuse. And I hope the worker after me has something more than heart. I hope they truly know their worth. I hope that they're too smart.
I know you hated being forced away. I know they wrapped you in the warmest chains. And I know they're so hard to break. You only said what you were made to say. I can't imagine how you feel today, now that you're watching as it caves away. While you were telling us to keep the faith, I bet you wondered why they made you wait. You in the warmest chains, and I know they're so hard to break. You only said what you were made to say. I can't imagine how you feel today, now that you're watching as it caves away. While you were telling us to keep the faith, I bet you wondered why they made you wait. Bet you wondered why they made you wait.
Whew. That's DSAI.
DSAI. And what is DSAI? Well, the AI I get, but
that would be and DS. It's DSA and AI. It's Democratic Socialist Artificial Intelligence.
Well, I think that's an oxymoron in itself, because DSA and, well, any intelligence would have to be artificial because there's very little natural intelligence going on there. So, yeah. So sorry to Joe wrote over.
Thank you guys, seriously.
Joe Mayall writes for Jacobin. He's over on Substack. Joe wrote. He's a good dude. It's some of the others that write over there that I. And a lot of DSA, look, point of order.
Right.
Look, if you're still hanging with Democrats, still, which means that you're a Zionist, you're a warmonger, and you're cool with killing 10,000 kids. So, fuck you. That's what I have to say about that. But, and I've been fighting with people all day and all month and all whatever on Twitter, and that's part of why I need to take a break, is because I'm tired of yelling at people already. But I don't know how not to. So so this next song is I also have not listened to.
Yeah, so this is the title track. And really this is kind of the beginning of this, has some ambient stuff and sounds that back when this album was in conception, originally it was going to be called Love Notes from Gitmo, which is the name of an unfortunately named parchment set available in the Guantanamo Bay gift shop. It's got a little map and a little pin where the base is, and it says Love Notes from Gitmo, and it's a little parchment kit.
Jesus.
And I was going to use that as the name of the album, but it just felt so in such poor taste, like no matter what I'm trying to say about that horrible thing that shouldn't exist, it shouldn't exist. And by giving it that name, I just felt like it was just bad juju. I didn't want to do that. But before I came to that conclusion, I was like, if I'm going to do Love Notes from Gitmo, I want all these pieces to feel like I'm in isolation, to actually kind of have that tone or that vibe to some degree. And I feel like there's some splashes of that here and there on this. But this especially, this was the one that I wanted to feel like that, because the beginning of the lyrics, late 2020, maybe, there was a news article that popped up about some scientists who were working on a really immersive VR experience for prisoners that could make them feel as though they've experienced months on end when they've only been in a chair doing this experience for a day. How can we prolong time so that we only have them for a week, but they felt like it was 10 years,
and that's Clockwork Orange kind of shit.
Exactly. Like, it's one of those times again where like Black Mirror you can try, but you can't come close to what's already in Elon's notebook or someone's fucking, whiteboard somewhere. And this was one of those moments. This was an idea these scientists had. They're working on it. Like, they're really, it's already in development. So there's the opening lines from this talk about that, and that's actually how Live from the Blacksite came to be, because that's a line in this piece. And then when I looked at that, looking for an alternate album title that still had that same feel but wasn't Love Notes from Gitmo, this was it. So yeah, this is Live from the Blacksite.
I'll do a 10-year retrospective on the grift, like Live from the Blacksite. I'll have hair to my knees, missing half a dozen teeth, singing Kiss from a Maglite. And I'll say, welcome to the stream. It's been 15 years since I talked to you last night. 'Cause when my cap's tight, I serve about a month a minute in this meta prison half-life. Smell-o-vision last rites, soldered in the synapse. Every breath's an hour long, confined inside the time-lapse. Fourth wall crumbling, then suddenly the mimes laugh, reach in their Invisibox for lithium to Minecraft. Congress needs a cobalt fix, child workers, open pits, who pluck your precious metals out with cracked and bloody fingertips. Couple minutes break to go and take some muddy river sips. CNN says, smile, kid, and edits out his splitting lip. So if a tree falls in the forest, did it really make a chorus if no human heard the timbers rip? And by that token, would we ever offer aid to any nation we've enslaved by way of business trip? Now, knowing what I know, I love to scream myself to sleep and like to smoke myself illiterate, just trying to cork the flow of words that pour forth so unlimited. But something in me knows I'll never want for inspiration in the land of politicians making millions off carcinogens. So let me break it down for all you suits and all you synergists, and then I'd like to circle back in terms that you can simmer with. Corporate worms and CEOs are feasting on the dinner guests. Oil peaked, and so to speak, it didn't pique our interest. Leaders eat their promised words, then smile back all winter fresh. They smile like recruitment ads. They smile like the noose is prepped. Smile like a whistleblower strolled into the intercept. Editors start licking lips, Klippenstein with bated breath. Bet they're gonna burn them till there's not a trace of embers left. Send them out to sea like TYT when half their members left. Democrats are warning you there's only one November left. And it's crucial that you re-elect the rack on which the renters stretched. Past their means, past their seams, past their need to genuflect before whatever senator they meet that hasn't hemorrhaged yet, whose fondest memories all involve a charter trip upon an Epstein jet. Lesser evil voting still means evil's all you'll ever get, and might be all that we deserve. We've let them leech our labors and unravel all our worth. We can call ourselves constituents, but we know who they serve, and it is nothing of this fucking earth. Nothing of this fucking earth. Nothing of this fucking earth.
That's live from the Blacksite.
Yeah. And taking shots at TYT and The Intercept, which is crazy. The Intercept shits on whistleblowers, so
Yep.
that's fitting. And TYT doesn't want to. He questions Julian Assange now, so well.
Yeah. Yep. I'm sure he does.
Well, yeah, that's
all right.
That's fire right there. Live from the Blacksite. And
so that brings us to
Cardi B.
Better the Censored, you know, right?
I
Doja.
love Cardi B.
Doja Cat.
It's called Doja Cat, right?
But no, we love Cardi B in this house.
We do.
Yeah, for those who don't know or hadn't heard this piece, I was on my way to work one morning, and there's a radio station. We have a couple radio stations around here that do interesting conservative things. Like there's one station that plays radio edits of songs that I didn't even know existed, where it essentially will take a pop song, and if there is a way to remove a black artist but keep the white artist, they will do that. Like if you have delicate sensibilities and you want to listen to Girls Like You by Maroon 5, but you don't want Cardi B's verse, they got you. They have that. They play that. If you want to listen to Cheap Thrills by Sia, but you don't want Sean Paul saying anything or saying, "Come on, there's no Sean Paul in their version. Like, there's no reason to do this other than like no black artists on this radio station. I don't get it. But that actually wasn't the station that did this, because they wouldn't play Doja Cat to begin with. Another station was playing
She Devil.
Paint the Town Red,
right,
by Doja Cat. And when they got to Ooh, She the Devil, they went, ooh, she a bad, she a rebel. And I was like, I stopped and I was like, they did not just edit the fucking word devil. So I stopped and I listened, and sure enough, next chorus comes around. I was like, please tell me that was just my radio skipping. But nope, they edited the word devil. Right? So interestingly enough, a little while later, I get in my car on lunch break. That station is now playing Taylor Swift. And when she said, he looks so pretty like a devil, they let her fucking say it, but they didn't let Doja Cat say it.
Well, because when Taylor says it, it's Taylor's version.
It's right? Exactly. I got you. So I immediately, I pulled out my phone and I typed out, radio station just censored the word devil. And then I went inside and clocked in to work. And then at work that day, anytime I spent on the forklift, I was working on this piece, and it didn't take much. The audacity of doing that, of upholding some kind of like moral facade when we're doing what we are doing, you know, when granted, it had been a couple days of me really starting to see some of the worst stuff I was going to see coming out of Gaza. Some of the things that, like, you know, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but Like, if you've been watching what's actually happening, like, you are very much a different person than you were at the beginning of October. Not that we didn't know what was happening there, but it's just this unabashed, full steam genocide, just flipping off international rules based order and doing whatever you want to people you have prisoner. So I lost my mind, and I wrote this piece. And so it felt right that this was the only one that doesn't have any accompaniment and is kind of in the style of all my other spoken word recordings. So, yeah, but buckle up, and better the censored you know.
Radio station just censored the word devil. Clearly, we are on a different level. I guess you wouldn't notice all the rolling boulders crashing past your shoulders when you're taught to shift your focus lower, scream at all the pebbles. Cheering on the bombers because you can't abide the rebels. But I bet you'll wring your bloody hands when all the dust has settled, when the last little limb is pulled from Gaza's twisted metal. Then you can say how you were led astray, and never once in all your days would you have knowingly supported all the genocide for which you clapped and prayed. But they baited you with unconfirmed blurbs about babies until you were filled with rage. Yet someone told you babies had been starving, bombed, and caged for nearly 80 years in Gaza, and you looked the other way. So regret, but make it fashion. Go and pluck that final petal off a hyacinth on Instagram for every kid they kettled. Every son that Israel imprisoned when they're little, that they tortured for a decade, then surprised with their acquittal. And when they got released and saw their parents and whatever siblings hadn't met the missiles, they stared right through their middle. Their eyes don't seem to focus, and their words are all but dribble, like they're pondering the darkest riddle. That is, how many false flags does it take to make humanity inhuman and uncivil, distorted by the revel? The crooked slant where Israel contorts into America, Biden bathing Bibi in a bloodbath in the bevel. I opened up my feed, and I saw children disassembled. Turned some music on, and heard the station censor devil. Imagine thinking Doja Cat's a threat to moral fabric in the single largest terror cell that ever felled a temple, that ever sparked a cleansing, that ever burned a market, that ever raped with bayonets or carpet-bombed apartments, that ever turned your water off and left you in the darkness, left you doing surgery on children while they're conscious. You sing the devil's praises every time you sing our anthem. You sing a hymn to him that watched us birth a million phantoms. You'll proudly wave his flag, and yet you will not name the devil? Well, clearly, we are on a different level. I can give you names, shit, I'll give you several. They say the devil wears a different face for every general, like a composite of the char he brought to fields of emerald, and the wail of every childhood we made ephemeral. So who else has left the stain of blood on everything they touch? Who else can starve civilians and they don't so much as blush? Who else has paid for Gaza being flattened into dust? If there's ever been a devil on this earth, then it is us. That's U.S. What an ugly couple letters. Feeding shit and ignorance to those it chose to tether. From the river to the sea, both are slowly growing redder. For the devil that you know just knows you better. It knows every gut reaction it could ever make you feel. It knows fear is that which wakes you up and gets you on your wheel. It knows just the kind of story that will justify its war. And the scripts are wrapped for World War IV. So just imagine my surprise to give the radio a listen and to hear such pious morals out of Zionists and Christians that they'd take the devil's name and try to clip it from existence while they carry out his bloody business. You would wave a fascist flag, and yet you honor not your Iblis? Name you not Apollyon? Hush you now your witness? Bleed the name of Belial till tongue is rolling listless in the man-made mouth of Mammon as Lamia's whispers listen. When carts are wheeling bodies through the cities that we crushed, and the very air is rotten with decay of all that was, who else would censor devil yet behave as Legion does? If there's ever been a devil on this earth, then it is us. U.S., but not a unity of souls. more a mass of corporations turning houses into holes, turning people into puppets, turning puppets into mold, turning mold into nutrition bars worth their weight in gold because they're bombing every bakery and burning every field with phosphorus that never once has wanted for a meal. The devil wears a mask and it delights in the reveal, in that moment where the face is let to peel. We do not love the underdog. We do not cheer the rebels. We lust for all their blood until the dust has finally settled. Then pity just ourselves that we were so misled to revel. Proudly wave his flag, and yet we will not name the devil.
Whew. Yeah. Doja. They did you wrong. They did you wrong, sweetheart. They did you wrong. Because I love that song. That's a kick-ass tune.
All right, so that brings us to the last track, and
we are here.
Kind of in keeping with the grift, I loved having Powerless close out that record, so I figured it was fitting for Dust of Better Days, which is just all singing. And uses my grandfather's guitar that I inherited when he passed, which is right-handed. So the song was a fucking nightmare to record, but I got it. It took multiple days, and it was the biggest hurdle really, other than the 7 weeks of bronchitis, was getting this one. But it was very important to me that I got it one track, one take, that it was that kind of feel. And I wanted a really simple song that was nice and approachable for everyday people, that was about just how far we've already accepted this, how far down the fascism river we've already floated, and the current is a lot stronger than people think, and we're just we're in it. We're in the thick of it.
That's what we're already tolerating, really. Like that, you know, and it's, you know, self-blame, you would call it almost in some ways. And you'll hear that. This one has a lot of meaning for me too. Again, I've heard this dozens of times. I played this pre-show, the live versions, but to hear it studio produced, it's haunting. It's great. And here we go.
Dust of Better Days. Hit it.
Do it.
SWAT team took your neighbor today. Watch them as they walked him away. You told yourself extremists come in all different shapes. Met his eyes and lowered your gaze. Is it too late for us to ever change? When we are collecting the dust of better days, they're always watching us, but we're never safe. We're not meant to be safe, not meant to escape. We aren't meant to wake. Sheriff stopped your daughter today. today. Pepper sprayed her twice in the face. He must have had good reason if he'd treat her that way. At least that's what they've taught you to say. But is it too late for us to ever change? Once we're collecting the dust of better days, and they're always watching us, but we're never safe. We're not meant to feel safe, not meant to escape. We aren't meant to wake. Feds arrived and had you detained. Said you'd made some posts they want changed. Tased you till you felt like you'd forgotten your name, or life before they had you contained. Oh, life before they had you contained. SWAT team took your neighbor today.
And there you have it.
This week.
Right back into Mitch.
Right.
No, don't strain yourself, Mitch. Just sit down.
We glitched on Mitch. Oh, we glitched on Mitch at the end there. I didn't know it looped around. That was great. Yeah, definitely needed therapy. Again, first stream in almost a month. Not gonna be back for a little bit.
Yep.
But
took us 2 streams in 2.5 hours, but we made it through the record.
We fucking did it, man. All right, well.
Oh god.
And I appreciate everyone for sticking with us.
Yeah.
The 20
Seriously,
of us that are here.
You guys are the best.
The best. Seriously.
Oh man, it's just like, yeah. Again, I say it all the time, but it's because I mean it. It never fails to hit me just how lucky I am to be able to either come bring you guys a new album or just sit and play covers or play whatever and get to have this time. Like it's so fulfilling and so rewarding. I can't thank you enough. So I love you guys.
Yeah. So the podcast, by the way, it's called the MC Squared podcast. You can check that out. It's at MC Squared 34 on Twitter. You can check him out. I know again, Rob Durden's been on a couple times. I'll be on with him next week. So just to do a couple of plugs, tell you what's going on here at INN. Tomorrow we're going to have INN News, and we're going to have a really special episode this week. The people that protested at the Black church down in South Carolina last week that protested Joe Biden, they're going to be guests of Reef and Colin, so they're going to have an interview with those guys. Nice. Thursday night, Reef and Patrick McFarland are going to be doing the Palestine Unity stream, episode 4, I think this is already. I don't know if you caught the last one. Rob Durden and Dave DeCamp from Anti-War. Mm-hmm. We've been doing this series now for about a month and change. We got an Anti-War person, we got an INN person, and Misty is the moderator. We've been talking about all the things that are going on in Gaza and Palestine unity between libertarians and independents. I think there's a lot of crossover there. So I'm really pleased with how that's turning out. I talked with Alex over at Anti-War, and they're going to be making a page and a section over at Anti-War for this stream and for this series, which is really cool. I'm looking forward to that. And I don't know as far as Himbo, but I know that Angel Rivera will be doing Angel in the Afternoon on Friday. That is the plan. He had a good show on Friday with Alex Knight. I don't know who his guest is planned for this week. And then, I don't know when we're going to be back or when we're going to be doing it. How do we miss that? That's not going to be at least until the second week of February. I'll be away the first week, so we're not going to do it then. And in the meantime, I'm going to be over at my Substack, and you'll see me on Twitter. And that's primarily
I'll be
where
on Friday. I'll be on with Misty on TNT. And then Sunday morning, I'll be popping in on Slow News Day for their second hour to play a couple songs. So
cool. I know we've reached out to Sabby Sab. So if you in chat know any shows that you can help get Jesse on to help promote this album and get more visibility and get more people out there.
I'm actually promoting this fucking record. By God, we're doing it. We're doing it live.
We're going to do it. But, thank you, really. Jesse.
Yeah,
wow.
Seriously.
Dude, amazing. And by the way, I'm going to, a treat for everyone. I don't know how long it's going to take me to pull together, but I'm starting to put together a greatest hits live from American Tradition album for Jesse and for us, because there's so much great live music that he's played and spoken word pieces that I want to put that together into its own compilation. Another thing I still want to do is put together a Seuss album. And we have a couple of more.
Oh, yeah.
My kids have been asking for more Seuss stuff, but you've already done, I think, close to a dozen Dr. Seuss books.
Right, I think so. I haven't done the Lorax, so I really want to do Lorax, so I just need to get a copy of it.
Yep. So we'll work on that.
Is Reef still around? Is Reef still in chat?
I'm not sure.
Ago. I got to give Reef a shout out. So he had hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I want to send you a little something at holidays." I was like, "Oh, you don't have to do that." And he was like, "Well, it's not much. It's just one little thing and then a rum cake." And I was like, "Oh, here's my address." And I gave him my address, and he sent a fucking fantastic rum cake, and he sent me this.
Yes,
and I could not be more happy to have this. I'm going to figure out somewhere to either. It pops nice and bright on the wall. I was thinking of backlighting it with something to really give it some razzle dazzle, but it's razzling and dazzling right now, so we might not need it. But,
Yeti made
shout
one
out to Reef.
himself. Yeah, Yeti took that and made one himself with his 3D printer. Hold on, you're cut off halfway through. There you go. Hold on. Switch. Go to that shot. There we go. Hey, now nice. Now it's INN face Jesse. Now you got Indy next to INN, and we got to have the two circles.
Okay, can you get a screen grab of that and then be able to put that in if you need to censor me in a Dr. Seuss one? If all of a sudden I the cat jumps up and claws my back, I'm like, mother, and then it pops up when we play. It'd be fantastic.
Right? So, oh, that's really funny. No, I got one of those too. It's sitting on my desk next to me. I got to figure out a way to hang it. Yeti actually figured out how to backlight it too. He's printing it, and then he's figuring out some kind of LED lighting that looked really cool.
Nice.
Holland got one too. Yeah, those are really cool. And I would say that it's about 2 feet by 2 feet. It's pretty decent size, and it's 18 inches, kind of diameter. Decent sized piece.
Nice.
Really nice, and kids like that, and everyone liked the cake that he and his mom made too. But all right, so tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, we're gonna have INN News just like we always do. And awesome. I will see y'all when I see you. And I love you all.
Everybody,
thank you.
Mad Mom, Charlie, Vicky, Sean,
Cynic,
everybody, like
KYE,
you guys,
everyone, really.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. So we'll see you guys soon.
All right, night, everyone.
Who are these people?
Indie News Network, collaborative family of independent content creators. It's co-hosted normally by me, Indy. I'm founder and editor of Indie Left News and Indie Media Today. I got Reef Breland sitting next to me.
Back at Indie News.
Is Andrew Rivera on The Handsome Cynic?
It's Politics and Survival.
My name is Jesse Jett.
It's American tradition.
What's up, Space Monkeys? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden.
I mostly make art for INN.
BigMadCrab. Joe, keep up those great videos.
Hey guys, it's Yeti coming at you.
Hello, my name is Lucy from Blue Moon Red Wine.
This is Chris Legion.
Keep fighting that good fight out there, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Who are these people?